So Concord came out over the weekend, and just as I and other gamers predicted, it was a financial flop. Under 700 players on its first day. It's dead on arrival. On launch day, all of these people they were trying to cater to did not even show up to play it, and maybe that audience never existed in the first place, and I wonder if Sony will ever catch on to that fact. Despite that happening, the Concord devs have come out and started attacking normal, everyday gamers who have negative to so-so opinions about the game. And not just that, but Dustborn, which is a sweet baby ink-infested DEI game, came out over the weekend as well, and it also flopped with only about 60 or 70 players on the game at any one point as their max peak. It's doing awful. We're going to take a look at some of those numbers in a minute, but we have to discuss the absurdity of all of these developers coming out and attacking people whenever their game fails. Why is it that this happens so much? Do these people not have any idea on how to be professional, how to be businesslike, how to treat their customers with respect, and to understand that it's their product that is failing, not the customer's perception of the product? Clearly, they do not understand that. Regardless, according to Paul Tassi here, PlayStation's Concord did not break 700 players on Steam on launch day. He goes on to say that Concord peak for Saturday is under 500. This is on a Saturday evening. Possible sub 700 launch day will be the peak until some sort of big shift like free to play. So yeah, that's that. And I feel like that's the only way that they could get more players at this point, is if they make it free to play. They're in competition with all of these other free to play models that don't even charge money for their game. They're free to play and they only charge money through microtransactions. But Concord has a $40 price tag slapped onto its forehead, and they're expecting you to buy this game. They're also getting mad at you for not buying this game or trying to dissuade others from trying to buy their game. But it's really funny because from what I'm seeing, it seems like these developers who are defending it and dying on this hill don't even appear to be playing their own game. And we're going to take a look at some of the hate that gamers are getting for not liking this game. But first, we got to see this pity party post from Paris. With regards to Concord, take a moment to remember that there are real people who for years have poured their heart and soul into making something to entertain you. It's all laughs, jokes, and told you so today, but tomorrow it'll be more remakes, safe sequels, and the lack of new IPs or any risks being taken. I'll always root for new games to succeed. Sometimes it's healthy not to root for all new games. Not all new games are fun. Not all new games are engaging, and many of them, these days especially, do not appeal to current day gamers. And that is proven by the current player counts of both Dustborn and Concord. Both DEI-infested games. One of them has heavy Sweet Baby Inc. involvement. That's the latter game. The former game is pushed to gamers by Sony. There were millions of dollars dumped into this. 8 years, almost a decade of people's lives spent making this game that nobody even showed up for once it was finally out. But sure, keep trying to guilt trip players into playing a game they don't want to play, and let's find a way to accuse gamers of being at fault for this game's failure, instead of the game developers themselves, some of which have come out to defend the game and attack players. According to Kyle, and I want to say Kyle even though it might be Sail or something, I do like his post though, hiding comments and calling people talentless and deleting their own posts when Concord cannot pull 1,000 players. Rational people would reason you're desperate for attention. Let's take a look at some of these screenshots. This developer is going on the attack against gamers now. Someone said, "I'm so sorry, this has to be your first. I do not believe it is you or any of the other devs' fault that this game has performed so poorly. I can tell that a lot of effort was put into completing this game. It just came out at the wrong time and genre." And they responded, "I don't really care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people making an awesome game. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? I'm sure having fun playing it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything." You wouldn't trade it for anything? Even some positive reception? Because what you just did probably gave the game even worse of a reputation after you said it. Who in the world calls millions of people talentless freaks? Have you not taken a look at how many people even bothered to play your game despite your gigantic marketing campaign? Only a few select hundreds. So does that mean that everybody that did not play your game is a talentless freak? Even the people that you were trying to cater to that didn't show up, because that is clearly who they were trying to cater to, and they did not show up. So are they talentless freaks too? Regardless, this is the kind of rhetoric that gamers are having to deal with. But we're supposed to feel sorry for these developers. We're supposed to feel sorry for Firewalk Studios. They want us to buy the game and give it a chance and give these developers a chance. Well, these developers really aren't giving gamers a chance or having any kind of healthy dialogue, are they? Anybody who does try to have a healthy dialogue or give any kind of constructive criticism is met with an immediate block or mute or hiding a reply from these developers. Pay me $8 to unhide your tweet. Pay me $8 to unhide your reply. Pay me $8 to unhide your reply, because replies are only meant for people who agree with them. If you disagree, your reply gets hidden. And then the person goes protected. What a huge shocker. Gameplay animator at PUBG Studios, previously on Concord. They, them. Amazing. Sure, PUBG is really happy to have them on board, and they're from Toronto. My goodness gracious. Joined October 2014, 5,000 followers. There you go. But Saints Row Reboot learned the lesson so hard, but you can't educate the Seymour out of Skinner. Make a game that doesn't appeal to gamers. Blame gamers. Bankruptcy. Where's your modern audience? And what he's referring to is a post from 2022. Much of the same reaction that we're getting right now was something that gamers were dealing with back then for another game. I view this as an exercise in shedding some of the toxic fans, and we can start anew, better and free of the shackles. And I know we really need to hammer home what Saints Row is about, as some people have it very twisted. If you look at them, they have all been pretty different, especially 2, 3 to 4. It's a satire of current times, and I guess a big gap in games will get people forgetting that. So the toxic fans we have to be rid of. We have to ignore them, even though because of posts like these and because the game had such heavy Sweet Baby Inc. involvement and was a crappy developed game, the studio shut down. These people never listen. Studios are still shutting down because of rhetoric like this and because of games being developed so poorly and so poorly optimized, but being pushed by these big corporate heads that think that these DEI games are more popular than they actually are. Even the Hugbox Echo Chamber Reddit has people being reasonable, objective, breathing air outside they, them. I understand some of you are just used to banning whomever disagrees in your Discord, but 600 players. Robot has pronouns. Concord critics talentless. Watch and see. And there's more to go over here because people on Reddit are also trying to fight against gamers. They're apparently struggling to fight Concord haters, trying to frame Asmongold's community as racist for posting 2 characters when 5 of the 16 classes are black. Most of them voting, then playing the game. That's incredible. So they went after Asmongold's community too because they posted 2 black characters. Peak of character design. I mean, these 2 characters here are very poorly designed. I really don't understand what's so confusing about that. Look at this jacket and gloves and goggles. All of these articles of clothing look like they were picked up off of the ground somewhere. But these are official character designs. These aren't just costumes or items that you can equip in combinations or anything like that. These are their official looks. And people are trying to criticize this constructively. They're actually trying to point out flaws in this game, but all of these flaws are met with hostility and hatred all the time. It's ridiculous and overwhelming for so many people to come at you with receipts and give you their thoughts on why they dislike something, why they dislike your product, only to get animosity and blocking and muting and whatever. It's just insane. I mean, these people are children. They're not mature at all. Oh, don't worry. The person that designed these characters also has something really horrible to say to you people who are white. Character designer, he says, this is an oversimplification. The sentiment being expressed is that whites must acknowledge their privileged position and then actively work for equality. It will be hard and confronting work, but if we don't, we're complicit, and complicity allows systemic racism to persist. And you can see this man's ideals applied to his character designs. As you can see here in this photo, there are 0 white characters save for maybe 1 or 2. The rest are diverse. One of them is a robot, and all of them have pronouns. And that's the sentiment that he wants to express. That's the kind of acknowledgement that whites should demonstrate. Being white and privileged is not okay in this country. And that's all these people are trying to express in these video games, in the development of the mechanics, the design of the characters, and the overall atmosphere and story as well. It always seems like these people are trying to push their ideals into these games in the worst ways possible. And they do it in such an obvious way where people can pick it up almost instantaneously. And it's more insane that these people are working at video game studios making some of the biggest video games on the market. It's insane that they have such terrible things to say about white people or any people really. Racism against whites, racism against blacks, racism against anybody is wrong, and no race should ever have to acknowledge any kind of privilege. Everybody should just get along, period. And it's insane that these people do not realize or grasp such a simple concept for true equality. They want an imaginary version of equality, which is why we have lead character designers like New SK, who told whites to acknowledge their privilege. He's the lead character designer at Firewalk Studios for Play Concord. 4 former PolyArc Games and Bungie. So he used to work at Bungie, now he works for Firewalk, and he is not fond of white people, surely. And he says back in 2022, this high-effort creative side project appealing to an extremely niche group of judgmental enthusiasts will be the one to take off and make all that time and money worthwhile. Surely! Well, that is such an ironic post considering that the complete opposite happened years later. So congratulations on your failed prediction, Firewalk lead character designer. I sure hope that acknowledging your white privilege was worth it in the long run. I'm certain that you are fulfilled after 8 years of development. Absolutely incredible. So that's what we've got going on the Concord side of things at this very moment. I'm sure there's more to be had, but we've got to move over to Dustborn because they're doing some shady crap lately, dude. It's crazy. Grum says, your EU tax money is funding Dustborn. Red Thread Games keeps getting grants to churn out politically woke dreck. So it doesn't even matter if they financially fail because they keep getting grants. They keep getting money. They've raised hundreds of thousands of euros from the Norwegian Film Institute and Creative Europe program to fund multiple titles. This is the game that only has about 50 or 60 people playing it as of this moment. He says, I watched Madame Safi suffer through playing Dustborn. It is full of moments like this with the characters being completely unlikable and constantly gaslighting each other while combat consists of using your voice powers to call enemies racist. And he shares that clip, which I'm going to show you guys right now. Listen to what the dialogue options in this game are. I did not even bother to buy this game. It's just not worth it, and these developers do not deserve it because they're clearly trying to push an agenda here from the clips that I have seen alone, not the full gameplay. There is clearly an agenda against white people, an agenda against structure, against capitalism, against order, where evil is seen as good and good is seen as evil. So Lavender says impossible to parody. Listen to what they say here.
Fella you're with, a black kid, dresses like a writer. Does he know anything?
You are racist.
Fella you're with.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yet both of these law keepers or peacekeepers, whatever they are, they look like cops to me, but they're both white standing at a counter, and this black lady that you play as in this game, she's the lead singer of this band called the Dustborn, who are pushing against the established white society that they're forced to live in, and she calls them racist. It's one of the dialogue options you can have, among many others, where you can attack innocent people and call them racist for disagreeing with your take on something or disagreeing with your politics, and that is the kind of game that people are being presented with that only few dozen people have decided to play. But let's take a look at Red Thread Games themselves. Norwegian indie studio. We made Dreamfall chapters and Drogen. Dustborn coming soon. Join our Discord community. I'm not going to join their Discord community, but Red Thread Games, Norwegian people making a woke DEI game with Sweet Baby Inc. involvement. What does this world come to, and why do so many countries have such a horrid view of what American society is dealing with? And why is it that they always take the side of the people trying to destroy it? It's so weird that they do this. But it's not the only thing they're doing. They're apparently also stealing assets from other video games straight up, not even trying to modify them in any particular or significant way, but just using the assets straight up without even giving a warning first. This is the funniest S I've ever seen, dude. Why do you care? This is from Thea Berg. Okay, and we're going to take a look at who Thea Berg is, but they are quote tweeting this post from Slick. This new Dustborn game has ripped off GTA Online, copying the apartment layout one for one. Paintings, TV, rooms, and even the small garden are in the same locations. This game that keeps getting grants, keeps getting funding. Okay, these Norwegian developers who keep getting funding, they're also stealing assets. Why are they even being given grant money if they can't even be creative? They can't come up with their own ideas. They have to steal ideas from other more established, more popular games. And I understand that some games use assets from previous games, and I'm sure that Rockstar uses assets from their previous games, but for you to come out and just take an entire apartment, one of the most generic apartments you can get in GTA Online, and then use that as your main apartment for your game, that shows not only that you are lazy and very poor at developing a video game, but you do not deserve the money that you're getting for it, and much more, you also deserve not to have that many people playing your game. Let's take a look at some of the screenshots. Look at this. Looks exactly like the GTA apartment. It basically is. This is the living room with the bookshelf and the table with the chairs and the bong on the table over there, the paintings, and you've got her walking through the apartment. That's the apartment. That's the main character that you play as with the yellow hat on. We're the Dustborn. You're racist. This is my apartment. All of those things are not true. It's basically a one-for-one shot. Look at that. Same thing. Same apartment. And you know what? They're not even trying to deny it. This is the funniest S I've ever seen. Dude, why do you care? So they're acknowledging that they have done this. They are acknowledging that they have stolen assets. Why is Dread saying that they have acknowledged this? Well, do you know who Thea Berg is? Let's take a look. Thea Berg, game designer at Red Thread Games, villain era, gay agenda connoisseur, by Dustborn. Insane. And this person, along with others who are mad about Dustborn not being a financial success, are on a crusade against gamers. They're even going on Kate Bush's husband's posts to help them troll anti-woke YouTubers like Vera Dark, who made a bunch of lollipop chainsaw videos. And Kate Bush said, "This aged like S." And someone said, "That girl is a DEI right-winger." And guess who responded to this post about Vera Dark? Diversity hire, gosh darn. So these game developers are going on to posts that are hating on anti-woke YouTubers and helping in the hates. That's all that they can do. They're not doing anything else. You think they're out there playing Dustborn right now? No, think again. Look at this person's post. Thea Berg has been playing Voices of the Void for hours this weekend. On the weekend that their game came out, a game that they helped design, that they say themselves that they're trying so hard to push out to people to have fun with, they're not even playing Dustborn. They're playing an indie game, Voices of the Void, for hours on the weekend. A 10 out of 10 for me. If I can stomach the scary parts, you should give it a peep. But what about the game that you were trying to push so hard while you were attacking grums and going on a crusade against gamers? You don't even want people to play your game, and you can tell that the people who follow Thea Berg are not happy about her posts because she's gotten 0 likes and a bunch of views on it. They're like, what the heck is going on here? But this sort of ridiculous behavior can be tracked all the way back to years prior. Tebow provided a little tidbit of information about Thea Berg himself while tagging me in it. So he says, "So Dustborn dev S-Spout has gone protected mode after getting caught using GTA assets in her crappy DEI game, but not before I captured screenshots of some of her anti-male, anti-gamer rhetoric. She was spouting nonsense like this since way back in the day. And as of now, as of this moment, while I was reporting on Thea Berg, they went protected." It's so funny. I was just now talking about the assets that they have allegedly stolen from other games and are now trying to defend and say, oh, why is it such a big deal? But apparently they have gone protected after all of the backlash that they have been getting, now that they have been caught doing what they have been doing. Thea Berg said back in 11 June 2020, "Wow, do not read the comments on the Goodbye Volcano High trailer on YouTube, man. Sometime in the future, gamers might realize that everything isn't made to cater specifically to you, and that's okay. Personally, can't wait to fulfill my dream of being a gay dinosaur. 50% of gamers are women, by the way." And then back in 14th August and 13th April, they said men as a concept was cooked. Of course it was. Men are the problem. Absolutely. Haven't you guys realized that by now? We males are the issue in this industry. Thea Berg goes on to say men are the weakest link. Truly. Absolutely. That's why Dustborn is such a raving success, right? And then this little gem right here, I just had to share this one with you guys. "I will put knitting men and sexy non-binary peeps in your video game, and I will never stop. Be afraid, I come not in peace." This is 25th of March, 2024. Well, it is very clear that that is exactly what they were trying to push with Dustborn. And in this corner, you can find all of the horrible things that these game developers have said about customers like you, about players like you. But this is just one pocket of the internet that is losing its mind over the failures of these Sweet Baby Inc. involved games. So let's take a look at the Dustborn player numbers. Only 61 in-game as of this moment. Let's see if this number went up or down. Oh, it went up 10 players. That is insane. After about 5 or 6 more, they will actually break their previous records. So that's great news for them, I suppose. Let's take a look at Twitch. Only 500 viewers? Are you insane? Let's take a look one more time. Let me refresh it to see if it changed. Nope. 506 viewers, 78 followers. So there are more people watching people play it than people actually playing it. The person who has the most views is like 344, maybe 2 streamers who are getting most of the viewers on this. Some of the people who are streaming it are just saying it's a trash DEI game. So let's take a look at Concord's numbers. 338 in-game, which is half of its all-time player peak. Let's see if that number has improved just a little bit. So it's mostly lost about maybe 50 or 60% of its player base. I want to say 70% on its lowest times of the day, probably late at night. Either way, it's still a disaster for this game, especially when you look at twitch.com to see how many people are watching people play it, which is way more than the people people actually playing it once again. Isn't that a weird trend and pattern that we see for games like these? Black Myth Wukong has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people playing it and almost 100,000 people watching it, right? But only 2,500 viewers on this game. 92 viewers here, 4,500 viewers there on Domingo's stream. So 4,000 players on this guy's stream. He's probably a big timer. Never watched this dude, but how many followers does he have? 1.8 million followers. And yet he can only get 4,000 people watching him at any one time. That's insane. I guess people really do hate Concord as much as people say. But these people who are going on a crusade against gamers and trying to defend Firewalk and Concord while spewing a bunch of racist rhetoric and attacking gamers for being in disagreement with them over the game. I mean, is this really your winning strategy? Is this how you intend to sell copies of a game that could not even reach 700, let alone 1,000 players? I mean, really? I'm intrigued at this game's failure, but I'm even more intrigued at people's defense of the game. It's very clear that gamers decided collectively not to buy in. Maybe a select few diehards and agenda pushers, or maybe developers themselves decided to play it, but I'm seeing developers not even playing their own game. They'd rather play an indie game for hours on end over a weekend that they're supposed to be helping to push their own game that they can't even get players for. It's really an insane situation, but of course we gamers are at fault, not you. It's us, the customers, not the product itself or the people making the product who spew a bunch of racist rhetoric and player hate all day long rather than helping to promote their game while stealing assets, apparently stealing assets from other games. I couldn't even believe I saw that. But what do you guys think of Concord by taking a look at his gameplay here? Do you think that this game looks fun? Do you think that this game will find a bigger player base once it becomes free to play? Will it become free to play? And will anybody even care when the dust settles? I guess only time will tell, and that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow meow.